Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the podcast. This episode is recorded in November, but this episode will come out in December. Um, so we're traveling forward in time for anyone who's in December right now. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. Today, me and Hannah are going to talk about IBD. Hannah's going to talk about her journey with ulcerative colitis, which she has, and we might also talk about like being neurodiverse because I have autism and Hannah has ADHD, and they kind of overlap. So that's another really good thing to talk about. So, Hannah, I say this to everyone that comes on, but I always feel like I've introduced yourself for you. But is there anything else you can say to introduce yourself to anyone who doesn't know much about you?
Well, I'll just start off by saying, yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm 24 years old. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and now I raise awareness on my Instagram account for IBD, ADHD, and Autism as well. I'm currently in school, and that's about it for me.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, I guess for me, it's a nice way to finish a Sunday off because we're doing this on a Sunday, but for you, it might be a good way to start the Sunday because I think it's 12 o'clock for you. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess, first of all, when was you diagnosed with ulcerative colitis?
So I was first diagnosed in 2016. I was 16 years old. About a year before that, when I was 15, I had had some blood in my stool and went to my family doctor at the time who did a stool sample, but we never heard anything back from that family doctor. Um, and then I stopped noticing it. I didn't have any other symptoms, so I also kind of forgot they never followed up. And then a year later, I saw it again, and at this time we had a different family doctor, and she was very concerned because of my family history. So my mom also was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when she was 16. So she actually immediately referred me to a GI doctor. And then a few weeks later, I had a colonoscopy and then was diagnosed with mild to moderate pancolitis. So I had the inflammation in the entire large intestine. Um, yeah, so I was 16 at the time.
Yeah. 16, and you're 24 now.
Yeah.
And does it feel that long ago, like all that happened?
It does, but it also doesn't. In some ways, it feels like forever ago, and then some ways it feels like it was just yesterday. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a lot happened in the past like few years, so.
Yeah. It feels like that sometimes. Um,
Mhm.
because I think I've done that around Crohn's, similar age to you, about 17, 16, turning 17, my 17th birthday. It's coming up. But yeah, it's a hard, it's hard. It takes a process, doesn't it, to kind of what when you're getting diagnosed. Because but because of your mum, did you know of it then of like ulcerative colitis, but before you got diagnosed?
Yeah, I knew a little bit about it. My mom had surgery when she was 17 because hers got really severe. So I kind of knew a little bit about the history, how she was sick when she was a teenager and how she had to have her intestine removed and that sort of thing. And then obviously when I was diagnosed, we got to talking about it more, kind of like the symptoms that she had had and that sort of thing. But I mean, it was years later for my diagnosis. So a lot of things in the medical field had changed since then, like new medication and all that stuff. So there was some stuff that was new to her and new to me as well. But I do think having her living through that experience was super helpful to me, kind of understanding and also to getting my diagnosis. I did get it pretty quickly once I was referred to the GI. And I think if I didn't have that family history, it might have taken a lot longer because I didn't have any other symptoms at the time besides the blood in the stool. So I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Like because some people can take a long time, and some people do take not long. I think I didn't take long either. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know about IBD. Uh, in the family, maybe they've had problems with their bowels, like maybe bowel cancer in the past, down like the family tree.
Hmm.
But nothing like IBD. Like it was new, it was very new to me, and when I because the symptoms I had were abdominal pain and I couldn't eat basically. So that was for me, and then I kind of had to push to get seen because that hospital didn't do anything for a while, and had to push to saying it's really bad,
Yeah.
and uh, I was at school at the time, so. I think it was last year, like when an exam, so I was missing stuff, but fortunately the school understood. But yeah, it's really tough. I think whether you know about it or not, it's a tough time, and the
Yeah.
process of probably getting to the point where you are now about talking about it online to other people. Um, it can be really hard. But with the blood in the stool, that must have been really difficult because I know I've had blood before, but especially when you're getting diagnosed, you must have thought because it could have been anything really, couldn't it? Having
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely like pretty scary at first. And then my mom was like, "Well, are you sure it was like actually, in the stool? Like it, like just kind of make sure because like there's other things, whatever." So then I was like checking it. I was like, "No, like I'm sure it's in there. We got to go to the doctor." And yeah, and like you're saying about like talking about it too. There may have been people around my age who maybe had like IBD or, celiac disease or something similar, but due to like the symptoms, it's so like taboo to talk about, especially at that age. So you kind of feel alone whether you know about the disease or not. It's pretty like isolating at times. So
yeah,
definitely hard, especially going through those symptoms that are scary or painful or, those types of things. It can be definitely really hard.
yeah, it's definitely tough to talk about. I think like, but it's hard. Like with blood in the stool, you don't want to say I've just had that. Maybe with a family, but it's hard to say if you have friends or other family members who might not even understand.
Yeah.
Because until it's happened to you, you kind of you feel you kind of maybe a bit extra careful about things and wanting you're basically your own doctor when you go to appointments. Um, but yeah, blood in the stool is tough. I think that's one of the things that is really hard because I think maybe sometimes if it's happening once and it's happening more, you kind of pray when you're on the toilet that you look into the pan and there's no blood there for once. Um,
Mhm.
but it's really tough having all that go on. Um, so when you was diagnosed, like what was the process after you got diagnosed?
So they started me on a immunosuppressant medication and some type of corticosteroid right away. And I was getting really bad side effects from the medication as well, which is, another side of IBD that can be really hard to manage is the balance between your IBD symptoms and your medication side effects. It lasted for about, I think, a month, maybe even two, where I was so sick in the morning, like so nauseous, so tired, fatigue, headache. So I missed a lot of school because of the medication that I was taking. And then things kind of settled down and I went into remission for maybe about a year, until I had my first flare up again, which is, another side of IBD that can be really difficult going through the cycles of the flares and the remission. So yeah, I went into a flare like a year later and I had to switch my medication again. So
Yes, it's tough, especially when you're doing maybe you think you're doing really well on one medication, and then something happens. You think, oh, because it can take a while. Not every medication is going to work for like a year. Like
yeah,
some might not even work a week. Um,
yeah.
so it's really annoying. Well, it happened to me actually. When I was diagnosed, I was put on like biologic like infusion, and I was on it a year. I jinxed myself, I did, because I went to the 10th infusion and I thought 10th time lucky, and it weren't 10th time lucky. It was it went wrong. It did,
Oh
and
no.
like I think I built antibodies to the medication, and then I had really bad side effects where I struggled to breathe and needed oxygen and stuff. So it was pretty bad, and so I did continue that, but then after that I went on to something else. But it's tough when something doesn't work because ideally we don't want to be on anything, do we? In an ideal world, we don't want to be on any of the medication, but um, if it helps us, I guess that's the best thing.
Yeah, but it can be, so emotional and frustrating too when you feel like you're doing good on a medication and then maybe your inflammatory markers are still high, or then you start getting some other symptom and the GI doctor is like, well, you might feel good, but the insides are actually not good. We need to do more. We need to put you back on steroids or change the medication. And it can be really discouraging to just feel like you're stuck in these cycles of healthy and flare and you just never know when you're going to flare up, and I think that's like the worst part about it almost.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to impact it. Like stress might impact it.
Mhm.
Like in everyday life. Um, like I was talking about my football game earlier, and I would have been stressed if Team I support lost. So, so I don't know if that would cause pain, but yeah, I think especially at the start, for me not so much now. With stress, but stress did is a massive impact of the IBD because for some reason it caused pain and because everyone gets stressed, don't they? It's hard to get rid of it. Um,
Yeah,
um, maybe you can try be calm about certain things, but some things you can't be.
100%. And even if you start stressing over one thing, then if your symptoms start flaring up, then you probably automatically start stressing about that. And then you're stuck in the cycle of, trying not to stress, but you're worried your symptoms might get worse. And it's kind of like a trap.
Yeah, it is really annoying. Like there's so many of them like around Crohn's because it affects IBD in total because it affects so many places, doesn't it? Like it affects what you want to do, it affects lots of things. But do you find that like when things go wrong, do you have like a coping way? Like if you watch something on telly, like if you're in pain, do you do anything like that to try and maybe take your mind off it a little bit?
Yeah, I had like a few different things, honestly, like with the ADHD routine wise, it's like not really consistent. So, lots of things would kind of change, but a good like TV show on Netflix is a classic, warm drinks or some type of like comfort food. When I was healthy enough to do things like yoga or walks, that was really good. But in bad flare-ups, it's pretty hard to do. So I kind of tried doing like meditation or journaling, stuff that I could still do from bed. And it helps you regulate your nervous system to some degree, but it's hard when you just feel like so sick. You just don't really want to do much.
They don't. And like even if you're watching something, you might not even pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Like
Or you're just like up and to the bathroom every few minutes, so you're not really,
yeah,
doing anything. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's so annoying. That the, the toilet because it's annoying, isn't it? Because you have a routine probably that maybe before you had IBD. Um, uh, that that some people have, some people don't now, but you have a routine that you think that that's the time you'll go to the toilet in that day, and it normally happens every day. And then it changes because of Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, IBD, and then it's ruined. And you think, oh,
Mhm.
I don't want to spend my day in the toilet. That is not a
Yeah.
good day. Um,
No.
it's really not.
Yeah, or just like worrying about like if you're going out somewhere. That was my worst thing. If I wanted to go like out with friends or something, I was always worried about like if there would be a bathroom nearby or like where the bathroom would be. It's like always in the back of your mind to kind of like scope it out because,
Yeah,
if you need to go, like you kind of got to go like that.
true. Very true. I don't like the public toilets, the ones that everyone goes in. I much prefer the ones that like the disabled ones where you have so much room in there.
Yeah,
Um,
like with the stall just like to yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the annoying thing part of that is you got people outside waiting to go, and they don't think. Uh, like some people are long who don't have Crohn's, for example. Like, and even for ourselves, that like in the past, we'll probably be the same. If we needed a toilet and they're so long in the toilet, um, we'll probably moan as well. But sometimes you've got to be respectful for the people in there because they might have their own personal problems that we don't know about. Um, but at the same time, some people do use those certain toilets that aren't classed maybe to use them because they're full in the public toilet, so they use a disabled one because it's free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard too because, you know, there's so many like invisible disabilities for, reasons why people would maybe want or need to use that stall, but then it's kind of hard to balance like if someone's just in there just cause or if, they actually wanted to use it. But yeah, that's, you kind of have to approach it with more of like a understanding that there might be something else going on that you can't really see because
yeah,
everybody has their own things that are going on. So
definitely. I suppose it's before someone else, but we come up with this decision where there should be different sort of toilet. So with the disabled toilet, that like you should have one of them that it doesn't say disabled in it. It should say something else that signifies people with IBD use it for their use. Also, like IBD chronic illness people can use that certain
yeah,
toilet so they're more comfortable.
yeah,
Because disabled, like there's so many disabilities, and I don't like the word disabled, but yeah, but there's so many out there that can use it, and not all of them have you would say, because everyone's different, not everyone's going to have the need to for the disabled toilet. They may just use it because it's more comfortable environment for them rather than going into the public toilets.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
so yeah, I think there should be one where RBD people come in, and that there should be for people who have ostomies and stomas, there should be a stoma station, not
Yeah,
exactly
they
a
have them in
toilet.
Japan. I've seen
Really?
some cool videos in Japan where it's like the ostomy bathrooms and they have like areas for emptying and like it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Uh, I imagine people say that they want to go to Japan now. Yeah, yeah, and I think there should be one where because it's quite annoying that the public ones where you have especially in the male toilets you'll have the urinals where you stand up and then you'll always have one where you can sit down. And for me, because I've been in the past, for me it's very uncomfortable. Say I'm in the one where you sit down, where you can sit down, um, and you've got other people outside, and it's quite uncomfortable because I'd rather you either just have one that has everyone can stand up, or you just have one people just
Like
blocks with people
everyone
sitting
can
down.
sit down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you've got people queuing to use the urinals, but they're in the way of the people that want to go in the sitting down
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Just do all stalls like the women's
Yeah,
bathroom.
and because not everyone likes locks, it's happened. I haven't done it, but like the other week, I went to I think the cinema, and I wanted to because I don't so say I don't go in the sitting down one maybe to like go. I'll go for a wee in there, maybe because I'm more comfortable with the environment, but because I
Yeah.
don't like standing next to people. Um,
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't like standing next to people, and I just can't go. I just can't go. It's not because I don't need to go. It's because I'm not like I'm not comfortable in that place. Um, and then I go to in, and then you've got the guy who locked it, probably because he has his own reasons. But yes, not everyone likes it. But I do think, yeah. So I think the point is that lots of things need to be changed around toilets.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, what last thing about toilets that sometimes in places you have to pay. So it's, like people have to pay to use them.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was so strange when I visited Europe.
Yeah, and it's not where I live, but say it's a city or a place you're visiting, and yeah, you have to pay. I think one was like 99p to use toilet, and I always say this. We do not pay to to go to the toilet. We shouldn't have to do that because we go like for you're the only way you wouldn't need to pay is if you had say a key to use a disabled toilet. Because normally you have to have a key. I have a key, but yeah, then yeah, it's silly because imagine if someone really needs to go, has IBD, really needs to go and can't wait, and then you have to wait because you have to
Yeah.
get your money out.
100%. And if you're visiting, you won't have a key probably either.
Mm,
So, yeah, some people don't understand the urgency is very urgent.
yeah.
It's dire. We gotta go right now.
Yeah, and another annoying thing is to say you can't find anywhere. You're always trying to find a toilet, and you can't go anywhere. So you go into a restaurant or a pub, and they always give you looks if you just go in and use the toilet. Because I remember I did it the other week. I went into this restaurant, and we went in the back entrance, so no one saw us, because we knew we'd get questioned. Because normally when you go in, they say you got to have a drink. It's not like
Yeah, you
you
have to
can't.
pay for
Yeah,
something.
you can't just use their toilet, which sometimes is silly because it's a toilet.
I know.
They're going to get
Yeah.
loads of customers anyway. They just want more money. But yeah, so that's another thing. And by the time me explaining my situation to them or anyone's explaining, uh, you need to go. And
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah,
So true.
yeah. I remember I went to I think it was Wales. It was Wales I did, and I needed to go desperately. And then I think my mum was talking to the woman downstairs, let me go. So I need to go. And then I think the woman even checked in, is everything all right in there? Because I was long. I'd taken my time. But yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
happens. Sometimes you're just stuck in there for a bit.
yeah, just a bit. Um, so with your ADHD, when was you diagnosed with your ADHD?
Last year, no, this year in March. So very recent. Took me a while to get diagnosed, obviously. And it's a little interesting. So my family doctor here, when I kind of presented the idea to her that I think I have ADHD, she was very hung up on the fact that I have always had good grades.
Yeah,
And she said that I would have struggled in school if I had ADHD. And she basically presented to me the typical 8-year-old boy running around as her criteria for ADHD. Clearly, she did not know enough about ADHD, and her research was very limited and also like way back when. But luckily, I was able to convince her to refer me to a psychiatrist.
yeah,
But that took a couple months being on the wait list. But once I was able to see him, yeah, it was a pretty quick diagnosis. He was like basically immediately like, yeah, you definitely have ADHD. And I was like, I knew it. Faxed these results to my family doctor.
yeah. His family doctor didn't know much. it seemed to be that your like the doctor there only knew what she heard or what the stigma is around ADHD because that's exactly it. A load of people, if hear ADHD, just a person not listening, can't listen, screaming around. Like you said, that is
Yeah.
what people think it is, but it's not. There's so much to ADHD than people understand. So what made you think that you had ADHD?
So it actually started when I was in my fourth year of my undergrad. I was taking a developmental psychology class. And then in that class, we were talking about how ADHD presents differently in boys versus girls, and then how those kind of progress into adulthood and how the presentations are often different in girls and women. And learning about that, I was like, wow, my whole childhood sounds like that. Everything is making sense. All the boxes are being checked. So I started researching it myself like a lot more,
Mhm.
listening to different like people online talk, like different psychologists and stuff. And um, then I was like, yeah, I'm pretty confident about this diagnosis. But then I was taking a year off and I was working and I didn't have a family doctor at the time. And it wasn't bothering me too much while I was just working. So I didn't think too much of it, but then I started school again and I could just tell like really badly. And that was when I decided I would try and actually get an official diagnosis and try and get some treatment. So um, that's what I did. And I was really, really thankful because the difference that being medicated has made a huge difference in so many things. I mean, it's still hard and there's definitely still days that I really struggle, but it definitely has helped me with a lot of areas of my life. So
Yeah. So sometimes it's nice to get a diagnosis that makes you understand yourself a bit more.
100%, yeah. Because even when I was suspecting it, I wasn't 100% sure. So, I didn't necessarily know, but now knowing there's certain things or habits or memories I have, and I can connect it to the ADHD and kind of better understand or explain it to myself. So it's definitely very validating as well. It's like, okay, I wasn't, you know, feeling crazy for no reason. My brain was just working differently. It's
Mhm.
very, yeah, validating overall.
It is good. It is good to get a diagnosis. That's because just because you have one diagnosis doesn't mean you can't get another. Um, like for me, with autism, I was diagnosed with 9, and then I was diagnosed with Crohn's 16. So I was the opposite way, but I got it lot. I find getting diagnosed of like autism is much harder than getting a. It's different, but it takes longer. It takes longer.
Mhm.
You have all these tests I did, if I remember. But it isn't like I understand what the doctor says in some ways to you about you wouldn't have done well on school, but they shouldn't say that. But yeah,
Right? Like you're just assuming
yeah,
I'm like anyone with neurodivergence
yeah,
is dumb. Like that's basically what you just told me, if that's
yeah,
what you think.
yeah. It's not good because uh, they saying that means it's not the right because everyone is different. But I do understand from a concept of someone who doesn't know much information or they haven't bothered to want to know the information because in school people will make fun of people and they will make fun of people like I'm part of this organisation and we had a discussion the other day because there's an autism group. There is an ADHD group as well, but in the autism group that they mentioned the word autistic and in school at the moment, people are pretending that, well, they're making fun of the word autistic because people have autism or maybe get more help than someone else who hasn't. So it's hard because, especially with the young kids, I'm not getting them much education about neurodivergent as a whole, which
Mhm.
I think needs to be happening because it wasn't good when I was at school, but it's still not good now. So so
100%.
because like, did you struggle at school at all, or about with anything, or was you quite good?
So, like, the memories that I have of school, like in terms of struggling, are mostly like a lot of daydreaming during class. So then I would miss like questions or instructions,
Yeah,
and a lot of procrastinating and finishing entire projects the night before. But no, I think nobody really noticed that I was actually struggling internally because my grades were good.
yeah,
But it was like I was working overtime to kind of get the same result as someone who
yeah,
wasn't neurodivergent, but nobody could really see that. Um, yeah, so I struggled, but it maybe appeared that I didn't just because I did have good grades. But I mean, you can have neurodivergence and also be intelligent.
you can,
So
you can. Can. Everyone has their subjects which they're intelligent about. And yours like might have been maths or science.
not math,
But
anything
not
but math. I would
not
say my
math.
full.
Not math. So, you don't know what
Everything else
yeah.
but math.
No, I didn't like maths either. And for some reason I passed it. I don't know how. But yeah, but you have X plus Y. What is that? I never understood it. But the concept I got at school was I was getting taught stuff I wouldn't need to know. Like so they would teach us bid maths and I think to myself, why I want to learn. Well, I didn't say this at the time, but now I'm more thinking about it, it's the stuff I should be learning. Especially in English as well, because in English you would just write stories and stuff like that, which is all right. But what they should have been doing is preparing people for afterlife after school, which is why so many people struggle because they don't prepare them for like what insurance, what taxes you're supposed to do. They don't do all
Mm.
that in school. They just do the boring stuff that everyone don't really need to know.
Yeah, definitely. And that was another reason why I like struggled paying attention in math, but also just doing math because they
Yeah,
would say, okay, you have to do this step and this step. And then I would say, why? And they would be like, well, you have to. Like, well, my brain doesn't understand that. So now I have no clue what's happening.
yeah. So, sometimes teachers do it. They treat the class as a whole rather than people one on one. Like, so say someone else understood this. Like, so say you was getting on with your work and you didn't ask for help. They just think you're doing all right.
Mhm.
They 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 don't come. So for example, once I got on with my work and at school, and I knew this teacher didn't know how to help me because she didn't know the answer either. So I just got on with my work, and they said, "You're right." I said, "Yeah." I don't know what I didn't say I didn't know what I'm doing, and then they said, "Well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong." In the end, and they said, "Well, I need help. You're gonna help me." I did say that in the end. They said, "Well, you try again." So well, that's what they say. Some teachers like try again, and I'm like to myself,
Yeah.
why did I ask you then? What was the point?
Yeah.
Because I'm asking you
Mhm.
for help, and you're saying me to do it again, which I know I'm gonna get wrong anyway. Um,
You're just gonna do it the same way probably
yeah, yeah.
if you're not getting
Um,
assistance.
but I enjoy lessons when I was at school that I had conflict with the teacher. I enjoyed them. I don't know why. I enjoyed them because it was just entertaining. I always got distracted. Say someone speak to me about nothing, about something that doesn't have any impact with the lesson at all. I'll talk to them because I don't want to be rude. And then teacher will be like, well, what did I just say? And I don't know. Like it's like with reading a book, with reading any type of book, um, I won't pay attention. I am very bad at reading books because I read it and then I won't know what we're talking about because I'll be daydreaming or thinking about what I'm doing later. Um, um, and yeah, and to say someone read from page 6, or no, they don't even say that. They say read from where the other person left off, and I'm like, I'll just read a random line from probably a page we're not even on. And I'm like, Billy went to the woods and jumped. I was like, well, we're not on that page. I was like, what page are we on there?
Yeah.
Um,
But then they just think that you're not paying attention because like
yeah,
you're rude or you're trying not to pay attention. It's like I could be trying so hard to pay attention and I still will be not paying attention.
yeah. It's really, really crazy. But for example, like this is just the facts of life. For example, like no one would just expect if they didn't know what ADHD was, or you didn't tell them you had ADHD, they wouldn't think you had ADHD, and that is because, like, if you didn't tell me you had ADHD, I wouldn't think you have ADHD, because, for example, you don't look like you have ADHD because you're not a person running around like that doctor subscribed. You're not a
Mhm.
person running around like like that, and it's wrong. It is wrong. It is
Yeah,
wrong to
because if
say
you
that.
could see into
Yeah.
my
Yep.
brain is running around.
Yep.
My
Same.
brain is running
Yep.
circles.
Yeah, and the annoying thing is it's focused on looks and what people look like, and it's to do with IBD as well. It's not just to do with autism, ADHD. Like people wouldn't expect I have autism now. Maybe when I was younger, because when I was younger, I wasn't like this. I wouldn't communicate. I'd be really shy. Um, when I'm speaking to new people, especially in person, I'll just
Mhm.
still be shy. I'll just edge away and not really
Yeah.
communicate. And as I got older, I think, because when I was younger, I got the concept autism was this really bad thing, and that's what it was like. And now when I get older, um, I mean, I guess the diagnosis of my Crohn's kind of helped me think in a concept that I don't care what others like think of me anymore. So it would help me raise awareness for both. But yeah, it's annoying that how the world sees everyone about looks. So if you don't look like something, that you don't have it.
Yeah, 100%, especially with both like IBD and neurodivergent, like they're both considered invisible, like you won't know someone has it unless they tell you straight up. So it's hard. It can be hard. And there's like, stigmas, biases around both of those diagnoses, IBD and like autism, ADHD, anything in that kind of people already have their automatic ideas about what that means. So it can be hard to talk about it,
Yeah.
which I think is another big reason, probably for you too, but definitely for me with the raising awareness part, is because there's people like me who are kids, who are teenagers, even adults who have maybe one or the other or both and haven't had anyone to talk about it openly and just really like be vulnerable with it. So I think it's important to just speak about it as much as possible. So people going through similar things, they know that there's other people. They know people can relate. Because that's one thing that, like, as a teenager, I was kind of missing. I didn't have that online community or an in-person community. I didn't know anybody. So, kind of making that space for others is basically like why I do everything that I do. So,
Yeah, it takes time, I think, to do it as well.
for sure.
I'm like you. I didn't have social media when I was younger, and I properly started probably when it was pandemic, really, something to do, to raise awareness.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess it was more the IBD to start with, and then the being neurodivergent, it kind of comes into that, and to talk about it because, like we said, they overlap. So if we're not, yeah, so they are similar in certain ways, and not many people are neurodivergent and have IBD too. There's really few people out there that have them. I've only probably 3 or 4 people that have that, and it's rare. And I'd much rather that than having more than one chronic illness. Um, because people out there do, they have different ones, and I once I spoke to someone that had loads, and I couldn't imagine having more than one because we think about like ADHD overlapping with your ulcerative colitis and Crohn's overlapping with my autism. Imagine having another chronic illness on top of that and saying
Yeah,
it might impact it in different ways. You might not
100%.
might
Yeah.
not be able to take certain medications because another illness can't cope with it. So it's really tough. I think whatever we have, if it's autism and or ADHD, and kind of determine and raising awareness, saying that they aren't diseases, because not everyone with diagnosis is disease, but unfortunately we do have one. But the other part of that is just who we are, really. Um,
Yeah.
like the ADHD is part of you, uh, makes who you are, and the ulcerative colitis isn't a fun thing to have, but at least I always say the plus side of having IBD is you meet really good people that have it.
Yeah, that is true. I've definitely met lots of really good people and done some cool stuff now that I've, started talking about it. So it's good. I mean, I feel like I'm the type of person who just thinks things happen for a reason. So if I had to go through all this stuff with my colitis, at least now I can meet cool people and help others spread awareness. Like every time I receive a message on my Instagram where someone's like, "Oh, you really helped me feel less alone," or anything along those lines, I'm like, okay, that was my purpose.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to help people out because they might be struggling, and it's it's fun. It's like a hobby, isn't it now? Um,
Yeah.
it's like a hobby that you help people, you share your story.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to do that. No one has said you do.
Yeah,
You just
that's true.
choose that. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to talk about it now. We could be like, oh, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about, I don't know, why it gets dark so early all the time. Um, which is not fun, but that's what happens this time of year.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's just the season.
yeah. Because I don't know. I don't like the cold either.
Not me neither.
Yeah, it's yeah, but I like when it's hot, but not too hot though. But yeah, but other than so when did you decide that you wanted to raise awareness?
So it kind of started off. So I had surgery when I was 20 to remove my large intestine because my colitis got so severe. So then I initially made the Instagram page after that surgery, but at first I was only talking about ulcerative colitis and different symptoms, different medications, that sort of thing. And then a few months later, I started talking about ostomy surgery. And then once I got my ADHD diagnosis, I've started talking about that more as well. So it's kind of just been a progressive thing. But yeah, it was mostly after the surgery because I found family and friends, they didn't really understand like why I would need a surgery. And, I kind of had to explain like the disease itself and how there's no cure and like all the different symptoms and all that stuff. So yeah, that kind of kickstarted it.
Yes, it's a good way to start it, I guess. Maybe not in the best circumstances, um,
Yeah,
but it's kind of kicks your brain to think, I want to do it.
yeah. I was like, why not? Let's just do it.
Yeah, like for me, I think it was pandemic that kind of decided to do something like that. Because I don't know, I was just bored during it and wanted to do something. Um, so I did it around the podcast sometimes, or just talk about my story on there.
Mhm.
And then, like you, it was just sort of IBD related to start with, and then I think as the years went on, got in more into being neurodiverse.
Yeah. I think
And
it's like a thing where you have to get comfortable in the space to share. So for me at the start, I was only really comfortable to share about the colitis. And then as I'm doing it more and I'm enjoying it and I'm getting positive feedback or people who relate, you feel more comfortable to share more, tell more. So maybe one day I'll have even more to say.
maybe one day, because everything changes all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might do different things, raise awareness, or something else might happen during journey later along the line. Just never know. But you don't you have a ostomy?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How it kind of became you get one?
So basically in 2020, so this was 4 years after my initial diagnosis, I got really sick. I had a really bad flare up and I was in the hospital for a week. And then I started a biologic. It helped for 2 months. And I got really sick again and I was back in the hospital for another week. And then I was still struggling, but not as bad. So they released me. And then 2 months later, I was so sick. I was going to the bathroom like 10, 20 times a day. I couldn't eat anything. I was throwing up. I lost so much weight. I was anemic. Everything was terrible. I could barely leave my bed. So I was back in the hospital and I was in there for about 2 weeks. And basically, I had two options. And the first one was to try another medication that my doctor said it might help in a couple months. So that was a really bad option for me because it's not guaranteed and it's still going to be me feeling sick for multiple months. So I started talking with my mom about the surgery because she had had it. Her surgery was an emergency surgery, so she didn't get to think about it or like choose to do it. But her and I kind of came up with some pros and cons. And the biggest pro was that I would just be like able to get out of the hospital and start living my life and like not need to be on medication. So I presented that to my GI doctor in the hospital, and he was pretty hesitant because he said he didn't want to give someone my age a stoma because I was so young and that I should be out living my life because I was 20. And I was like, yes, you're so right. I should be out living my life. But instead, I'm in the hospital for the third time this year. Please just remove my intestine. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So that was basically it. He was like, okay. Saw the stoma nurse. She kind of like talked me through some stuff. And then a couple days later, I woke up with no large intestine. And I remember waking up and it was the first time in like months and months that I didn't have that like searing deep ulcerative colitis pain. I mean, like the incisions hurt a little bit, but like it was just a different type of pain. And I was so happy and I knew like right away it was a good choice for me. So yeah, that was like 4 years ago. And I am still like super happy that I made that decision.
So does that mean that your ostomy is permanent?
Well, technically, right now it's considered temporary because I still have the rectum,
Okay.
but um, the only reason why I haven't done anything to change that is mostly just because I'm in school and I don't want to have like that recovery from surgery right now in the middle of school. But um, yeah, I'm thinking it will become permanent soon.
Yeah. Once you finish school, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good that it helps you though. Like you're not in any pain.
Yeah. Yeah, and the biggest thing for me was no longer having urgency. That was part that caused me so much like stress all the time. Um, so being able to not have that has
Yeah.
really improved my quality of life, emotionally and mentally. So it's been good.
Brilliant. It's good that it's no stress because we know what stress can do.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yeah, that's really fun. Um, well, not fun that you had it done. Like it must have been like nervous and maybe a bit uncomfortable, but it's good that it's helped you.
Yeah, yeah. When I went back to the surgeon after my 6 week post-op, he was like, wow, you look much happier now. And I was like, yeah, because I don't feel like I'm dying.
Oh, brilliant. Um, so how would you say you're doing at the moment then with your ulcerative colitis? Do you think you're doing pretty all right?
Yeah, I would say so for sure. It's a long battle to get there, but
Do you like Christmas?
I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. How
Yeah.
about you?
I do. I quite like Christmas.
It's
Yeah,
getting close.
yeah. It's good to have to spend it in the hospital.
No, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Spent
I've,
Thanksgiving in the hospital once and my birthday, and that was enough for me. Christmas, that would be
no,
too.
no. Do you have to avoid eating anything or drinking anything?
So some people do, like everybody with an ostomy is different. I've found really that the only thing that bothers me is mushrooms. And if I eat like a huge salad, like I can eat raw vegetables pretty much no problem. But if I were to eat just like a huge bowl of like just lettuce, it would probably bother me some. But for the most part, I eat everything and drink anything. So that was another pro because my colitis had me eating and drinking like nothing, like bread and water. So,
Bread and water. Yeah, yeah. I know how you feel because I was just on. I think it was chicken. I lived on chicken because I couldn't eat anything else. Um, yeah, for some reason when I was really in pain, that's what I could eat. But now I would say I have to probably avoid spicy things. I have a little bit of spice sometimes.
Mhm.
But drink wise, I can't have anything with caffeine in it, so I have to not have that. But yeah, so not much now, but for
Are you on
fine.
a biologic still, or are you not on anything?
Yeah, I am on Humira now it's called. Like the injections where you inject yourself at home.
Yeah.
Um and before like levels have been high, um I take it 2 weeks, unfortunately, because some people can take it every week. So I read only every fortnight on a Thursday. Um I'm not actually sure this week I'm due it or not, but um but yeah, every time I have it I always treat myself to like an ice cream or a lolly or
Nice.
something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
how you get through things like that. You just gotta give yourself a little reward.
yeah. I know when I ever go for my blood test at the hospital to have a conversation with the nurse, like because like they do, they talk to you and stuff. And I used to not like blood tests at all, but now I just watch it because I've had it so many times. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm used to having noodles now, which you kind of have to be, I guess, with IBD. Um,
Yeah.
but before, because I've had bad experiences in the past, I've been in a hospital and they've injected the needle not in my vein. Um, Before when I was younger, I had an experience where they didn't do it right and I got up and squirted everywhere. So,
Oh,
so that was awful. And they had to ask me
yeah.
back. They asked me back to do it again. Um, but it was like one of those horror films, where a lot of the blood squirts everywhere. But yes, it weren't ideal. And I was younger at that time. I was screaming. I look back now, it's hilarious because I was screaming. Go no!
Your blood's just coming out.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and I think that to say sorry, they gave me a sticker. Maybe I was like happy when I was younger, but now I wouldn't want a sticker. I think, but yeah. So I'm on that. I take that. I don't have a stone or anything. Um, I like it when people talk about it though, 'cause I'd find it hard to show it if I had one myself, like online. It'd probably
Mhm.
take me a while to do that. Um, but I take like Humira. I take azathioprine every day, vitamin D tablets every day, B12 tablets as well sometimes. Um, Helps with like because of the fatigue. Um,
Yeah.
so I take all that. I do not take anything for my autism. I know some people do. Um, I don't. I'd say uh, with mine, how my autism impacts me is more with how people say things. I'd say, like to say at school or just in general, people say stuff, and I maybe need it said a few times, stuff like that. I'm I'm good. I'm smart with some subjects, like we said, like at school I wasn't with much. Maybe English I was all right if we weren't reading a book. Um, um, But I was alright at some things. Like my knowledge with football is really good. Um, I could probably predict. I could probably tell someone the whole league table with memorizing it. Um, I love Doctor Who as well, so I know lots of facts about that. Well, my interests, but yeah, it just depends what you like really. If you're interested in something, you'll know a lot about it.
Totally, yeah.
Like IBD, for example, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've had a few like instances where like I was giving a presentation or like we have to learn about it in school and then I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, guys. Like I'm an expert. I can tell you everything you need to know about IBD.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Um, but so other than IBD, what do you like? Like, are you interested in anything else, like hobbies wise?
Well, I like to read personally.
You like
I
to
like
read?
lots of books,
Yeah.
yeah. And I like to take care of my plants. I have a bunch of plants. So I do that in my spare time. And then also baking. I'm really into baking. So I try to do that when I'm not in school and when I'm not busy.
Yeah. What is your favorite thing you've baked?
Probably some sort of cake. When I was a bit younger, I was really into like decorating cakes. And I remember I made my grandma like a birthday cake and I made like a mini model of her on top of the cake. It was
Yeah.
cute. So
That's
yeah.
brilliant. It's brilliant. Like I because when I was at school or college, I always wanted to do something if it was like Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Week. At school, I did like I did a presentation about Crohn's and Colitis IBD, explaining what they are. Um,
Nice.
and then I think we did a football match, and everyone donated £1 to wear purple for the day.
Yeah,
Um,
nice. That's
uh,
awesome.
I didn't take part in the match because I was too busy for the rest of the day. Um,
Yeah.
because everyone else did. Um, but yeah, I did that. I did that at college. Fortunately, the chef was ill. Because he said I couldn't do it. So he was ill on the. This was Crohn's and colitis as well this week. It would have been around December time. When this episode will probably come out. And uh, me and a few of the staff, we baked some cakes around, and I had Crohn's and Colitis UK. I had some flags
Oh, yeah.
to put on them, and then yeah,
Nice.
just sold them. Just sold them.
Yeah,
um,
recently. It's a great idea, actually. People love dessert.
yeah, um, yeah. It was fun, and then I had posters going around of me and Crohn's and Colitis UK. Um, so it was really fun. I haven't really done anything like that since, but I would like to at some point. It'd be nice to do it, but because I've done so much, it doesn't get boring, but it just gets like, what else can you do now because you've done it a lot. Um, but
Yeah, that's true.
a few years ago I did do a skydive though for I think a charity called Rare Diseases,
Oh,
um, and that was for my birthday. I think it was for my 20th birthday.
wow.
Um, I think so. It might have been 20th. Yeah, I think it was. No, 21st. 21st.
That's a cool birthday.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking of a big birthday, and 20 ain't a big birthday. But yeah, so 21st, petrified I was, going off um, out the plane. Um, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to prove that people with IBD can still do things. Um,
Mhm.
because people like uh, people may be like, oh, I can't do it because I've got Crohn's, or can't do it because I've got colitis. And you can. Like for me, I was a bit anxious. I was first out the plane. Um, and yeah, I was shattered afterwards. Um, had to have a sleep for about 3 hours.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
and I think you get hungry. You get hungry after you've done it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like for me, I wanted to go. I wanted to go slow, so I was first out, last down, because I was taking the scenic route, and people would panic, thinking, "Where am I?" Because
Yeah, I'm just floating.
yeah, just floating. But when I was in the air. heart beating so fast. Never beat so fast in my life. And I said to tandem guy who's carrying me down, I said,
Yeah.
"Is my heart supposed to beat this fast? What's going on?" And I think from that point he decided himself to go slow. Um, but yeah, I think I got it all recorded and my pictures and
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
It was fun, and I basically got my skydive for free, because raised all the money for it, and the rest just went to the company, and then yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it was something I always wanted to do skydive, but
Bucket list.
yeah, bucket list. Um, like you've got bungee jump, but and like what's they called, skylining, like but down. But yeah, that is one of the things I really want to do because in the past I've done indoor ones, but the actual thing is it's much better because your indoor ones are in this dome and you kind of
Yes, I've seen them before. No, no scenery.
no, unless you put the
Like
VR set
cool.
on. You got the VR set,
Oh,
uh,
true. Yeah.
yeah, but you can't move. Can't move. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you're in the dome, and you're doing this, they won't take you up. And what I mean by take you up, they can take you to the top of the cylinder thing, and
Yeah.
if you move, you can't. They won't do it because they can't if you're moving. Um, but yeah, the VR was good, but nothing compared to the actual thing. Um,
Yeah.
because you have to. I didn't look down for me. I couldn't. I didn't when I
The
was.
whole time?
No, I did. Well, once I was out, I did, but because you have to lean out the plane when you're
Yeah.
about to go, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to look down. So because your legs
Mm.
are apart and you can look between your legs to look down, and then the woman, because you can get record, I see you could get recorded. So there was a woman
Yeah.
on the wing of the plane because she's gonna go before me, so she can take a video, take the video and the picture of me, because
Um,
because it's like at one
yeah.
point when you're skydiving down without the parachute, it's like it's like the camera person is stopped in front of you because say you're going like this, they're right in front of you and they're taking pictures and then they go zzz. So they have the most hardest job than the actual tandem guy because they have to make sure they're down before you.
Um, yeah,
Um,
and actually get your proper like
yeah.
the picture in the frame.
Yeah, and when you're coming down, they're like, you have to. Did you enjoy it? What's it like? Um, But yeah, because you have to have your legs above your waist before you're down, otherwise they break. Um, but yeah, it's brilliant. I would do it again, but not yet because I've
Give it a few years.
give it a few years. I did it again, but it has to be a nice day as well. I went for the clouds when I went down. I remember.
Oh, really?
But
Huh.
yeah. So you like books?
I
Um, I don't. I don't. I love books too. I mean, I do because I have a book here somewhere. Oh, there it is. I have a book.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who book.
Nice.
Never read it.
Are you
I
planning to read it ever?
only got it because this person who read the book were friends. um, might come on the podcast. Um, but yeah, but the thing with this book was a Doctor Who episode, so it's just converted into a book.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
um, and I'm actually going to say that when it come on. I'm going to say I've got your book here. Never read it. Well, that's actually good. I haven't read it though. If you think about it, because they can tell me everything what's going to happen in the book if I don't know.
True.
Um,
Yes.
like what's the difference between this book and what happened in the series? Um, yeah, but the thing with books for me, you're probably totally opposite because you like them. It's not that I don't like the book. Like, so say I read out this book, and as soon as it says, as soon as Donna copy fell backwards. No, I mean, I just don't understand the concept of it. And then I'm more if there's pictures in the book, it's easier for me. All that is audio, maybe, of someone's
Yeah.
more like when people read it. I think this is why I got bored in class was because they would be so it'll say it really boring, how they're speaking. They just say would have been no entertainment to it. Um,
Yeah, monotone.
yeah, with their tone, it's a bit boring. But if you were there, so yeah, it's but I more prefer comics or like magazines.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, um, yeah, it's just one of those things. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Um, I like collecting them. Yeah. So are you watching anything on Netflix at the moment?
Watching Young Sheldon.
Young Sheldon.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is it good?
I really like it. A lot of people don't like it, but I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah. It's like a spin-off to the Big Bang Theory, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when Sheldon was like a kid, so it kind of goes through like his growing up and his family and stuff. But they have some good characters, some funny people, so I like it.
I think he's related, like the kid he's related to the actor who plays Sheldon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're cousins.
That would make sense. They look very alike.
Yeah, yeah. I've watched quite a lot of episodes of Big Bang Theory. It's quite funny sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, I'm watching this series called From at the moment,
Oh,
and it's it's quite cool. Um,
what's that?
it's like it's like a horror. Um, but what happens in it is basically you're in this town, but basically you can't get out of it, and they like they stop at this tree, and then once you're at the tree, you're trapped. And you can go around the amount of times you want, but you can't get out. And at night, these kind of monster creatures come out. Um, it's really interesting and it's really confusing as well, but I quite like stuff like that.
Oh,
Um, yeah, but the series is airing, I think, at the moment. So I think there's 10 episodes each series, and I I quite like stuff like that.
yeah. I have to wait for it to come out.
Yeah, yeah. So Hannah, before we finish, is there any advice that you'd give to anyone maybe with ADHD and ulcerative colitis?
I think the biggest thing is just really to it kind of sounds cliche, but just really try and prioritize yourself. Like give yourself enough rest, even if you feel guilty, like you need more rest than the average person who doesn't have IBD or who doesn't have any neurodivergent tendencies. You deserve more rest. Just take care of yourself. It really helps both things in the long run. So yeah, give yourself a break.
Yeah, rest is important.
Especially for any chronic illness, any, ADHD, autism. Like you just got to give your brain a rest, your body a rest.
Definitely, especially as Christmas is coming.
Yeah, busy season. So,
Yeah, are you gonna watch a few Christmas films?
yeah, I probably will. I usually do. Not too sure what I'll watch, but definitely a few will.
Have you watched The
Yeah.
Grinch before?
I love The Grinch.
Yeah,
How about
Grinch is good.
you? Which one?
Yeah, I've watched The Grinch.
Yeah,
Yeah, is your Christmas stuff up yet? Are you gonna put it up soon?
probably soon.
Yeah, because I see that lots of people are already putting them up as soon as Halloween finished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably next weekend we'll put it up because we're gonna do a little Christmas photo shoot with our puppy so that we can send out some Christmas cards.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's really cool. You have to send me a picture of your
I
photo shoot.
will. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, but thanks, Hannah. I hope you've enjoyed coming on. It's been really fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We had a fun chat. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I told you we would talk about not just IBD and ADHD. We talk about we drifted and talked about Netflix and stuff, but it's all part of it. We don't always have to talk about IBD. It's part of it. It's part of the journey. Um, but
For
to
sure.
anyone listening, we hope you've enjoyed it as well because I think I'm gonna air this now. It would be Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Week, so I think it's a really good time to do it. Um, because yeah,
Yeah,
because we raised an awareness of IBD, so it's really fun. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, but thanks, Hannah, for coming on.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
really good to chat. And I hope you have a nice Christmas as well.
You too.
Yeah. To anyone listening, we'll see you in the next episode. But thanks, Hannah.
Thank you.